All right, so as you arrive in Tadasana, just as always, give yourself that time to settle in. You might move a little from side to side or pick up all of your toes and place them back down. Just go a little from heel to toe and finding that balance point right in the center. With your next few breaths, align the hips over top of your heels. Take a loop with the shoulders, open the palms. Let yourself take a nice big breath that lifts up through the crown of your head. You might close your eyes here or just steady your gaze. And let the muscles of the face soften and relax. Take this moment to check in and see where you might be holding or gripping, especially in the eyes and in the arms. See that the chin is about parallel with the earth, so it's not lifting up or dipping down too far. And allow yourself to breathe without needing to change anything else. Just allow yourself to soften into this posture. Coming to your yoga practice is something that always requires a certain level of courage. It actually took me a really long time to get into a group class because I was so scared of being around other people, of unsure if I was doing things right. And at that time, my yoga practice was a lot about performance still. I started a practice because it helped me play sports, which of course I resonated with some of the other aspects of it, but a lot of times coming to the mat, it was just about performance. And so today I'll just open that up for you to see if you come to your mat with any level of performance or expectation of how this practice should go for you. And as you soften into this very first posture, can you release those expectations? Maybe just standing in who you are a little prouder, a little taller, a little more confidently to not have to be anything other than what you are today. There's a bija mantra, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. And this roughly translates to the truth or the truth of who you are. So just resonate those words in your mind a few times. Maybe you say them out loud if you're comfortable with it, but just letting that mental vibration sink in. Sat Nam, Sat Nam. As you take an inhale, think of the word sat rising up through your body. Just give it your best effort. I know it might seem a little out there to try to visualize and put this all together. And as you exhale, nam, expanding outwards. Inhaling with the word sat, and exhaling with the syllable nam. And then a couple more times on your own. If the eyes are closed, you can start to bat them open, wiggle the fingers, kind of like you do when you wake up through Shavasana. Circle your wrists a few times. And then take an upward salute. Inhale, strengthen the legs, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, slowly forward fold. You can bend the knees, let the hands come to the ground or to blocks. Inhale to rise all the way back up, reach the arms overhead. You can come up with bent knees. And exhale to Tadasana. We'll do that two more times. Start to synchronize your breath. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, slowly folding down. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come back up. And exhale, Tadasana. Once more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale to rise. exhale, Tadasana. Inhale, arms come overhead. And this time, keep the arms up, kind of like crescent arms, and a little space between the hands. Now feel your legs really firming up as you lift up through the tips of each finger. See if you can find just a baby back bend as you lift up through the legs, through the heart. And let the whole body engage here, especially the lower body. Then come back through center, release the arms down and interlace fingers behind the back. Take a little shoulder shrug and open up the chest here. Again, firm up the legs as you find this back bend. This time drawing the knuckles down, the chin might come up a little. And release, come back to center. Spread your feet a little bit wider and just take a few easy sways side to side, letting the arms gain momentum and slap around the outside of the arm and around the back. You can let your feet come off the mat, or the heels rather, and let your gaze twist behind you. Take a few audible exhales to help release any stagnant energy or emotion. And imagine anything that is not you, anything that's been projected onto you or expectations of you. Imagine those things just like flinging off here. Feeling the core of your body, everything else swinging around that. Now, if the gaze is going back each time, this time gaze forward and start to slow down the swinging as you fixate your gaze on a single point. And eventually come back into Tadasana, walking the feet right underneath of you. And as you inhale, come up onto the toes and lift your arms overhead. Nice and slow with the breath. Exhale, heels lower, arms lower, lift the toes. You might find a little balance challenge here. And we'll alternate. Inhale, lift the heels, lift the arms. Exhale, lower, and see if you can lift the toes. Inhale, lift the heels. Pause at the top, see if you can balance. Exhale, lower everything down, and see if you can find the balance this time. Slowly lift the heels. One more time. Inhale, lift. Keep the arms lifted, only lower your heels. Firm up the legs, find that standing back bend. The glutes are engaged, the tailbone's drawing down, hands are active. And then exhale, take a forward fold, bring it all the way down from here, let the head go. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. And exhale, hands to the mat, bend the knees a lot and come all the way down to your backside. You might challenge yourself by not using the hands. You can use your core to roll down. We're not in a rush today. We want to take things nice and slow and really feel the engagement as we go. Set yourself up for bridge pose, walking the heels into the backside, and move through about 5 flowing bridges. So as you inhale, hips will lift, arms will lift. Reach back behind you, and exhale, hips and hands lower. Extend your breath. In these summer months where it's easy to get overheated, we can take the approach that less is more and just slow down the breath a little bit. Nice big stretch as you inhale. Make sure to press through all 4 corners of the feet evenly. And taking your last bridge pose. Coming back down. And once you land, cross the right ankle over the left knee for figure 4. Press that right knee open and ground into your left foot a lot. We're going to come up into one bridge pose here. So press into that left foot, lift up your hips, and then exhale, release the hips down and thread your hands around the left thigh. Draw this shape in towards your chest. Option to find a little movement, rocking side to side, or maybe playing with the left leg, extending and rebending. Some people like to roll the ankles around here. You can find what feels good. And just start to notice how your body feels today. Release from the pose and switch sides. Set yourself up so that right heel is underneath of the knee. Press that left leg open. Your ankle is flexed. Arms by your side. Inhale, lift the hips straight up. Exhale, lower the hips and thread the finger or the hands around the right thigh, bringing it in towards the chest. Same options apply. Find the next few breaths on your own. Bring the right foot back down, left foot back down. Arms out into a T shape, and then hover the shins. So the knees are stacked right over top of the hips, and squeeze the legs together. So you can feel like the inside edges of the feet meeting and the knees meeting, maybe the thighs and calves starting to come together. And try to keep this magnetism between the legs and the shoulders down on the mat as we start to move. So we're going to do an active twist, rolling the knees to the right. They do not have to come all the way down. Use control here. Go as far as you can with control, and then coming through center and go the other way. You might notice the shoulders want to pop off the mat. Stay grounded here and keep those shins lifted. Legs magnetized together. So just do a few times both ways here. And you might find after a couple of twists, maybe they can go a little bit lower, starting to wake up the spine. Even out both sides, bring your legs back to center. Bring the arms by your sides. Actually, you can hold behind the thighs here. We're going to find a little rock and roll along the length of the spine. Have a little fun and lightheartedness as you rock and roll. Remember that you can release that expectation to perform today. We're just having a little fun. And then we're going to find our way into boat pose. So find that balance point and see if you can hover your feet, hover your arms. If you're feeling super strong and brave today, maybe you come into that full boat pose, only if you can still breathe and hold. For 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to roll back down, hold onto the thighs, and then next time you come forward, cross the ankles and step back into plank pose. Nice. Articulate here. Spread the hands nice and wide. You might find a little movement to get into position. Press away from the mat and feel the length through the body from heels to head. Now connect to your breath here. Nice deep yogic breath. Option to keep the knees lifted, or you could lower down into a half plank. We're going to find 3 push-ups. So really try to pay attention to your form here. Elbows drawing straight back, chest staying open, and then pressing right back up. On this last one, lower all the way down. Inhale to come through either cobra, or if you feel open to it, an up dog. So don't go too far right away, but if you feel open to it, go to that up dog. Then make your way back to downward facing dog, or really, this is our first one here. So finding a little movement. Maybe a few deep breaths. Check in with your breath, with your emotions. And we're going to do 2 more just mini sun salutes here. So from down dog to plank to chaturanga, up dog and down dog. So you can go through these on your own breath, inhaling to come forward. Exhale, your version to lower. Inhale, cobra up dog. Exhale, downward dog. Take a breath in between. And do 1 more flow. Inhale forward. Exhale lower. Inhale upwards, exhale downwards. Take a breath. And take about 8 baby steps to the front of your mat. Meet in a forward fold, letting the head go. Maybe the legs start to straighten a little bit. You could bend the knees a little. Inhale to reverse swan dive. Reach the arms all the way up, rooting into your heels. And exhale to Tadasana. Take a breath, rebalance. Inhale, finding that baby back bend as you come up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, downward dog. Inhale your right leg to the sky. Exhale, step through, low lunge. Lower the back knee, keep the hips square. One breath to rise up, crescent. Exhale, hands to the mat, tuck the back toe, step back to plank. Option to move through a flow between sides or go straight to downward dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step through. Lower the knee, inhale, crescent. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, plank to chaturanga or downward dog. So when we start to add on to these sun salutes, to these vinyasas, you have that opportunity to check in and see if you're moving from a place that truly feels good to you tonight, or if you're trying to live up to a certain performance level, maybe of what you did last week or last month, and really just check in and see what it is that is true for you today. Bend the knees, gaze forward, step, walk, or hop to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, Tadasana. Inhale, upward salute. Find a little back bend if you can. Exhale, swan dive. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step through between the hands. Coming to low lunge again. Inhale, lower the knee, arms reach up. We're going to do something a little differently this time. Exhale, hands come to the hips. Draw the elbows back and draw the tailbone down. Breathe into the chest here. Imagine you have like a superhero cape on. And then tuck your back toe and come into a high crescent lunge. Press into the feet, lift up that back knee, and then reach your arms up. Hold the posture, lingering here. Steady your gaze and let yourself just be in the pose, be in the moment. Let the right hand come down to the right hip and take a side bend. Left arm reaches up and over. So you really have to stabilize through the legs. Find your balance and lean into that side bend. Breathe into that side bend. And bring both arms back overhead. Inhale. Warrior two as you exhale. Pivot the back heel down, open up the hips, and extend the arms. Again, linger in the pose. Take a moment to stretch everything out while staying connected to your core. Right, you find that edge of your space. You reach out as far as you can without feeling like you're being pulled in a million directions. Take one more breath in. Exhaling, cartwheel the hands down, stepping back to plank through chaturanga, or again, option to just skip that and go right to downward dog. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Exhale, step through, low crescent lunge. Lower the knee, inhale, arms rise up. Now let the arms drift down towards the hips. taking this moment here to open through the chest, shoulders back. Breathe a few breaths right into the center of your chest here, helping the tailbone draw down and the chest to lift. So you're sort of finding a back bend shape here, right? Opening up through the front of the hip a little more. Maybe you sink the hips down. And then tucking your back toe and come into your crescent lunge. Inhale, rising up, and linger in the pose. Hold the pose. Find the balance of being strong and stable and steady and relaxed. These postures should cultivate energy, not take all of your energy away. And the only way that it would really be taking our energy away is if we're maybe pushing too far, losing the breath, or putting these expectations on us that are really just going to put us in that state of discontent or even impatience. Now finding that side bend, left hand comes down to the left hip and reach up and over. Keep that left ear away from the shoulder. Maybe you can go a little deeper here, not curling in, but keeping that right shoulder nice and open. And then come back up, inhale, and find your way into warrior two. Take your time. Steady the gaze right over the front middle fingers. And then see if you can bend into that knee a little more. Without overthinking it, just find your strength, find your courage. Then breathe into the power of this pose. Hold the pose in a way that isn't consuming all of your energy, where you actually feel yourself getting stronger, maybe even enjoying the sensation. Take one more breath in. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, option to flow or go back to downward facing dog. Very nice. Take a breath here. Gaze forward, bend the knees, walk, step, or float to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, Tadasana. Ground yourself here, find your alignment and your breath. Now take a step back with your right foot, just face the long edge of your mat, and bring the hands to the hips for a moment. Again, putting that superhero cape on, shoulders drawing back, the chest is nice and open. And pivot your toes out about 45 degrees, heels in, and start to bend the knees in the direction of the toes, sitting straight down. Now open up your arms, finding goddess pose. The hands are nice and open and active. Take a moment for yourself to observe how you might draw in power from this pose. Rather than just exerting yourself, how can you really cultivate energy here? Where can you become a little more efficient in how you hold the body and how you breathe? Let yourself be with that discomfort as you hold any pose, keeping a sense of calm and peacefulness. Good, now stand all the way up. We're gonna come into a side lunge. So you can parallel the outside edges of the feet. Hands can go wherever they're comfortable. For some of you, you might wanna use them on the ground. Maybe you wanna keep them at heart center. We're just gonna lunge side to side here. So a different way is walking the hands side to side. And the next time you come to the back of your mat, come into a standing splits. So you're going to heel toe your toes so they point towards the back, and then lift up your standing leg, folding the forehead towards the shin. Remember, no expectation of how far you go. We're not performing. So just give it your best. Just notice what you feel here. Is there shaking? Awesome. Is there a breath here? Great. That's all we need. Tune in. Then step all the way back onto your mat. We're just going to walk to the front. So you can come through a little wide leg forward fold, and then heel toe your way to the front of the mat, standing splits. Keeping the hips relatively square, and use your strength to lift up that back leg. Soften in your neck and shoulders. For an extra challenge, you might bring one or both hands around the ankle. And then bend your standing leg, step all the way back, downward facing dog. Take yourself through a flow. Inhale, plank. Through chaturanga. Cobra or up dog, legs are engaged here. And meeting back in downward dog. Lower your knees to the mat and come into puppy pose. So the knees should land right under the hips as you come down, and then walk the arms forward, bowing the head down to the mat. Nice long extension here, long line from hips to fingers. Also known as heart melting pose, so letting the heart center soften. And if you feel like you can move deeper into your back bend, so if your elbows are starting to come down, if you feel your shoulders starting to open, you might be able to bring your chin to the mat. Wherever you're at, make sure you can breathe, controlled, steadily. Then start to soften and come out of the pose. So you can walk your hands back towards you a little bit, bringing forearms down, and just shift back into child's pose. Bring the arms around the back and let them rest over the sacrum, holding onto the fingertips. Notice any sensation here in the physical body, if there's warmth or coolness. If there's any tension and ease. Then re-extend your arms and come into tabletop. I'm going to thread the needle, so take a little break pose here. Inhale, the right arm comes up, and then send that right arm underneath the left, coming down into the right shoulder and ear. Press into the back of your right hand and bring the hips back towards the center of your mat. Option to extend the left arm forward or to bind it around the back. See if you can really open your gaze to the left here. And challenge yourself to find fullness in the breath, going just beyond that edge. Not forcing the breath, but just gently stretching it. And start to bring yourself back, so left hand coming by the face. And when you're ready, come back up into your twist. Slowly, slowly unwind. And bring the right hand to the mat. You can bump your hips a little side to side here. And then we'll switch to the other side. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, thread the needle. Anchor into the left hand. Bring the hips to center. Maybe the right arm goes forward. You can press into those finger pads, gazing under the right shoulder, or taking that right hand around the back and finding the opposite hip crease. What can you notice in this moment? Start to come out of the pose. Slowly, slowly, step by step. Your breath is your metronome, so move with your breath all the way open to that twist. And exhaling, left hand comes down. We'll find just a few easy cycles of cow and cat. So find your alignment if you need to adjust here, and start to breathe in, lowering the belly. And breathe out, arching the spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more time. Then come through center and sit back onto your heels. Take a moment in hero's pose to just cool down the breath. And staying as low as you can to the mat, almost like a snake slithering through. We're going to do sort of like an 8-point salute. You're going to slide your hands down. The chest is going to come down, chin down, and then slide on all the way to your belly and come into a cobra pose. Release the head down to the mat. Extend your arms out to the sides. Root into your pubic bone. As you take your next breath in, lift everything off the mat. Exhale, lower everything down, turn a cheek. Inhale, lift everything up. And exhale, turn the other cheek as you lower. Coming up one more time. Inhale, we're going to hold the pose now. Breathing into it. Feel the shoulder blades drawing together on the back, the hands active, toes active. And then lower the hands down, one over the other, under the forehead. Relax the legs and rock the hips a little side to side. Nice deep breath. Pause the movement and rest in crocodile. Resonate those words in your mind, the bija mantra, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. And bring your hands under the shoulders and press up into tabletop. Sit back onto your heels again, hero's pose. And we'll come into camel from here. So lift all the way up onto the shins. You can tuck the toes if it helps you reach your heels, or use blocks by the feet. If you can reach your heels, you can go all the way down. We're just going to do one version of camel today. If you know that you're going to be a little higher, you might just have hands on your lower back or on your bum. So find your depth and pressing the hips forward. We've been playing with a few back bends today, so remembering the strength and flexibility of this pose comes from the foundation in the legs, lifting up and then back. And imagine there's a string from the center of your heart that pulls you up here. Inhale. And lower the hips back to the heels, hero's pose. Take a moment in that neutral spine. And bring your hands down to the mat. And actually bring the hands right by the knees. You're going to press into the tops of the feet and activate your core here, lifting the thighs up into the chest. Lower the shins down. We're going to do that again. When you're ready, press into the hands, Lift the thighs, lower the shins, rest. And then this next one, we're going to cross the ankles and bring the legs all the way through. So give it your best shot here. You're gonna lift up the hips, lift up the thighs. Now cross your ankles and start to wiggle those feet all the way through till you sit on your bum and extend the legs. Inhale, arms come straight overhead. Flex the feet. Exhale, hinge from your hips, folding forward. Only go as far as you can go from the hips and then let the arms come down. Take a few breaths here to fold deeply. If you can hold on to the big toes, find a yogi toe lock. And then lift back up. We're going to reverse that movement that we just did. So make sure you have room behind you on your mat. You're going to cross your ankles, press into your hands, and bring the legs back through plank and then downward dog. Stretch the heels down, press the thighs back. We're going to do that hop through a couple more times. So walk your hands back just a little bit and towards the outsides of your mat. So you're giving yourself like a runway to jump through, space between the hands. Then bend the knees, gaze forward, and your first hop is going to be with the ankles crossed right between the hands. Take that hop here, slide on through and extend the legs. Nice. Bend the right knee and open it out to the side. Inhale, arms come up, and exhale, fold towards the front leg. Deep breaths, turning inwards. Head to knee. And then inhale back up. We're just going to switch sides here so you can extend that leg and bring the left foot in. Hips are square, arms reach up and fold towards the front shin. Softening the jaw, the face. The bottom leg is engaged, right? So you're pressing out through that heel. The back of the leg is gently pressing down and extending up and out of the lower back. And come back up. You're going to cross both ankles, hands by the sides, and then step or hop back through plank and downward facing dog. Let's hop through again. So we're going to come back forward, bend the knees. Maybe you can start to smooth that out, making it one swift hop and legs through. Might feel a little awkward, that's okay. And this time we're going to find a twist. So you can bend your left knee, wrap the arm around the shin, hugging the leg in tight. That right leg is still active. And then bring the left hand behind to twist. And just let the gaze follow your chest. Remember, it doesn't matter how far you twist. Notice if you have this internal pressure to go a certain distance. Maybe just for the sake of this practice, you do less than what you know you can, right? Maybe you even back up just a little bit on purpose and see what it feels like to breathe there. Maybe you focus on a different part of the posture. And then just take a gentle counter twist. Wrap the other way. And then come through center. We're going to find a bind. So keep this left leg in. Reach the left arm up. Reach forward towards your toes. Flip the palm back. Now reach around the shin. And then see if you can bring this right arm all the way around the back and find those fingertips. Maybe we don't get all the way there. That's okay. Step by step, we'll go as far as we can. Now, if you do have your bind, and you're able to turn relatively towards the front leg, you might be able to fold over the front leg. Again, might feel a little awkward, so try to release any pressure, expectation of yourself here. This is definitely more of an advanced posture to bind and fold. So just go to your extent and play with it. And lifting up and out of the pose, unbind and switch sides. Left arm wraps around, hug the thigh close. Right arm comes back. About 3 full breaths here. See if you can soften through the throat. Find an openness in your chest as you breathe. Listen to your breath as your cue. When you're ready, come into a counter twist. Taking a full breath the other way. And then come back through center. Right arm reaches up. Reach forward. So that right hip might come off the mat. That's okay. You can reach forward here. Let that hip come up. Then flip the palm back or open and wrap the arm around the shin. So you can find that right hip crease. And reaching the left arm around the back. If you can gaze forward and rotate your chest towards the front, you might be able to fold a little bit here or just play with the bind. Do your best to breathe fully, calmly. Maybe you close your eyes and just tune in. And then releasing from your bind. We're going to cross the shin one more time. Plant the palms, step or hop back into your plank pose. Option to go through one more flow here if you want, or go right to downward dog. And we have one more chance to hop on through. So only if you want. If this is building too much heat to do these hop throughs, just make your way down to your backside on your own. If you want, you can do one more hop through here. And then feet on the mat to roll yourself all the way down. Let the arms come by the sides and lift the legs straight up towards the sky. Let yourself settle into this gentle inversion. And gently activate the legs. Option to stay here or come into a shoulder stand. So make sure there's nothing obstructing your head from being on the mat. Like I have a hair clip in, and that would not be ideal to come into shoulder stand. So make sure you remove any of that. And then if you want, lift those legs all the way up, the hands coming to your back to support you in shoulder stand. Make sure it feels okay for the neck if you're lifting up into that posture. If the legs start to get a little tired, if you're in that first inversion with the legs straight up, maybe start to soften the legs. You can bend the knees a little. Soften the face. Let's start to wind it down. And if you're in shoulder stand, start to make your way back down. And then everyone can bend the knees, bring the feet down, and extend the legs. Walk your hands underneath of your backside, wiggling your forearms underneath of you. We're going to come into fish pose. So you're pressing into the forearms to lift up from the center of the chest and roll onto the top back of the head. So there should not be a lot of weight in the head here. It's mostly in your forearms pressing down and lifting like a fish through the back. Take at least 3 breaths here if you can. And then pressing into your forearms to lift the head off the mat and lower back down. Take a full body stretch. Reach your arms overhead. Point the toes, reach the fingers. And then walk both feet to the right side of your mat. Cross the left ankle over the right. Walk the arms to the right side of your mat and hold on to the left fingertips. Now settle back into your mat here. Notice if you're holding anything up. Let those hips stay down, the shoulder blades are down. And taking a nice full breath that stretches along the whole left side of your body. Uncross the feet, uncross the arms, and walk your way to the other side. Right ankle crosses over left, and hold on to the left fingertips. Let your weight drop back into the mat. Release that holding. Deepen your breath. See if you can extend the breath by a second or two on both the inhale and the exhale. Just let yourself be here. No fighting. And then uncross your feet, come back through center, and bring your arms by your sides, but bend the knees. And we'll come into a reclined twist. So bump the right hip to the center of the mat, and both knees go to the right. Right hand comes on top of the thigh, left arm opens like a T. Gaze goes to the left. Keep that extended breath flowing. Without thinking too much about it, release from this side and make your way into your twist on the other side. Release the holding. Let the ground hold you instead. Observe the parts of you that might be resisting that letting go. And then come back through center and come into reclined cobbler's pose. So feet together, knees apart. Option for where the hands go today. So really any position is fine. Maybe hands behind the head, maybe they're just stretched out, maybe they're on the body somewhere. Yogi's choice. Find that mental sat nam again here. As you inhale, in your mind, just do this in your mind. You don't even have to say it out loud. I'm going to vocalize it to help describe it, but you can just do this in your mind. As you inhale, say to yourself this long syllable, sa, sa. And take that inhale all the way up to the crown of your head. And when you get to the very top, you seal it in with the T, sat. And then as you exhale, nam. Let that nam extend in every direction. So inhaling up, sat. Exhaling outwards, nam. As the inhale rises up, imagine moving through each of the energy centers from your root to your crown. Like it's waking up these energies. And just release the mantra and allow the body to breathe on its own, letting go of any technique, and just a gentle awareness of your breath. You could stay here for a few more breaths. And when you're ready, bring the hands to the thighs to help bring the knees together slowly, slowly. And come into a full Shavasana, extending the legs, letting the arms rest by the sides. Each breath dropping you deeper into your inner landscape, into your inner world, and connecting to that truth that lives within you. That truth is your uniqueness. It's those feelings that come up that tell you what's next, what's good for you. It's that true teacher that lives within. Each breath connecting you to that true teacher. The revelations that just seem to come from nowhere. Those nagging feelings that tell you something isn't quite right. Sometimes it's strong emotions that are guiding you in a certain direction or teaching you something. This practice takes courage because it asks you to look at yourself. Be open and kind to yourself as you move through these practices, as you rest in Shavasana. Let yourself settle into yourself. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Wherever the attention is, just bringing it back to the fullness of the breath. Bring yourself back into the space, the room that you're in, to the sensation on the skin, to the little wiggle of the fingers and toes in the space around you. And following your own breath as you're ready, bending the knees, rolling over to your side, and gently coming up to a cross-legged seat. You can come with eyes closed or heavy. And as you come into your seat, allow yourself to be still. I invite you to turn the palms up and bring your inner attention to the center of your forehead. And if you'd like, you could continue to repeat that Sat Nam quietly, mentally, for the next few moments, or actually practice saying these two syllables out loud and just see how it feels. So approaching with curiosity. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. And just try to tune into the vibration of those words. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Invite a little smile into your face. Let's bring the palms together and rub them really quickly. Take a nice big breath in and out. Shake off the hands and then bring the hands over the forehead, eyes, and cheeks and just bow your head into your hands. And they get dark behind the eyelids and bask in that little sense, of maybe big sense of peacefulness. And then just smooth the hands behind the ears. You can run them all the way down till they land over the heart, and we'll close our practice here. Taking your last moment for your gratitude and to take a final humble bow, honoring yourself, one another, and this practice.